Self-governance of the collaborative society. Governing society is, at its core, an intellectual activity. It depends on how human beings think, learn, and create. Humanity possesses three forms of intelligence: individual, collective, and collaborative, each with distinct strengths and limitations. Modern democracies rely almost exclusively on collective intelligence, the aggregation of individual opinions through discussion and voting. This model has been historically valuable for legitimizing authority and ensuring participation, but it suffers from a fundamental limitation. Collective intelligence cannot generate new knowledge. It can only choose among existing alternatives. In a world defined by climate instability, technological disruption, demographic crises, and geopolitical fragmentation, this limitation has become existential. The problems of the 21st century require not only decision-making but genuine problem-solving, and this demands the activation of collaborative intelligence. Decision-making versus problem-solving. Why governance fails. Psychology distinguishes between two cognitive processes that illuminate the structural weaknesses of current governance. Decision-making is algorithmic. It selects from known options using a predictable sequence of steps. This is the logic of elections, parliamentary votes, and bureaucratic procedures. It is essential for routine governance but insufficient for crises that require new knowledge, new frameworks, and new solutions. Problem-solving, by contrast, is heuristic and generative. It requires creativity, expertise, and the ability to synthesize information into new insights. It is a cognitive engine behind scientific breakthroughs, technological innovation, and civilizational progress. Yet modern political systems rarely include individuals capable of genuine problem-solving. Electoral politics selects for popularity, charisma, and ideological conformity, not creativity, expertise, or cognitive depth. This mismatch between the cognitive demands of modern society and the cognitive capacities of its governing structures is one of the central reasons for global dysfunction. Why current democratic governance cannot cope. Contemporary democracies attempt to compensate for their cognitive limitations in two ways, both of which are deeply flawed. First, it is delegating power to leaders. Concentrating decision-making in the hands of presidents, prime ministers, and party elites introduces the risk of authoritarian drift. Decisions become shaped by personal psychology, narcissism, ideological rigidity, ego, corruption, and susceptibility to lobbying. The result is geopolitical instability and policy inconsistency. The world today resembles the early 20th century, when imperial thinking among a handful of leaders pushed humanity toward catastrophe. Second, it is relying on think tanks. Think tanks draw on collaborative intelligence, but they are structurally compromised by money, ideology, and political agendas. Their output often serves donors rather than society. As a result, even when high-quality knowledge is produced, it rarely becomes a basis for policy. These two mechanisms, authoritarian leadership and compromised expertise, form a governance system that is cognitively incapable of addressing existential risks. The failures are not accidental, they are structural. A biological blueprint for governance. A more effective model emerges when we look to the human brain, the most advanced problem-solving system known to nature. 3 principles of neural organization offer a blueprint for reimagining governance. Bilaterality. The brain's 2 hemispheres work in parallel, generating different perspectives that are integrated into a unified outcome. A governance system that mirrors this bilateral structure could combine institutional decision-making with independent, collaborative problem-solving. Self-selection of neurons. Only the neurons most suited to a task activate. Applied socially, this means experts should self-select into problem-solving roles based on competence, not wealth or political power. Algorithmization of cognition. The brain uses structured processes to make decisions and solve problems. Embedding such algorithms into governance platforms ensures rigor, transparency, and reproducibility. These principles are not speculative. They are empirically grounded in neuroscience and evolution. They represent nature's own solution to complexity. Existing precedents, Wikipedia and think tanks. Elements of this model already exist in the digital and political spheres. Wikipedia demonstrates the power of self-selection. Anyone may contribute, but only the most competent voices shape the final content. It is a form of virtual collaborative intelligence. Think tanks represent a primitive bilateral structure, offering parallel analysis to governmental institutions, though distorted by financial and ideological pressures. These examples show that the principles of collaborative governance are already emerging organically. What is missing is their integration into a coherent system. A virtual collaborative governance platform, the proposed platform, Intel Wiki or Intellectica, represents a prototype of such a system. Built on the architecture of MediaWiki, it transforms a media platform into a cognitive platform, which allows universal access while enabling self-selection of the most creative and intelligent contributors, embeds cognitive algorithms that structure decision-making and problem-solving, eliminates the distortions of money, ideology, and political bias, produces solutions in parallel to institutional governance. This creates a national or global virtual brain composed of two hemispheres: institutional hemisphere, collective intelligence, decision-making, legitimacy; virtual think tank hemisphere, collaborative intelligence, creativity, problem-solving. An interface between the two reconciles their outputs, producing more balanced, effective, and innovative governance. With the arms race and endless wars, capitalism today destroys more resources than the economy creates. This imbalance is a symptom of the system's inevitable collapse. Such a collapse could occur through a world war. Today's upheavals, cataclysms, and wars are clinical symptoms of political dementia, leading to escalation and self-destruction, or through a peaceful transformation driven by growing public self-awareness and developing a more powerful form of governance. By developing collaborative platforms, the Wiki community helps catalyze the growth of public self-consciousness. Within one generation, roughly 20 to 30 years, a civilizational shift from financial capitalism to a collaborative society could become a reality. This transformation reflects a broader evolutionary pattern. A declining civilization gives rise to a new culture, in this case, the emerging of public self-awareness, which gradually materializes into a new form of civilization. Its practical expression would be a transition from a market economy to a collaborative economy. A collaborative economy can be far more efficient, because while the market economy tends to concentrate wealth and power among oligarchs, a collaborative system works for society as a whole. Ultimately, this shift could lead to the creation of a global ecosystem that prioritizes collective well-being and helps guarantee the long-term survival of the human race. Why this model is more convincing? Several additional arguments strengthen the case. Complexity theory shows that systems with high complexity require distributed, adaptive, and creative intelligence. Centralized political structures cannot scale cognitively to match societal complexity. Historical evidence demonstrates that civilizational progress has always come from collaborative intelligence, scientists, inventors, philosophers, not from political elites. Technological acceleration means that the gap between political decision-making and scientific reality is widening. Without a mechanism to integrate expert cognition into governance, societies will fall further behind. Cognitive diversity is essential for solving complex problems. Elections reduce diversity by selecting for conformity. Collaborative platforms increase it by selecting for competence. Legitimacy and effectiveness need not be in conflict. A bilateral system preserves democratic legitimacy while dramatically increasing cognitive effectiveness. These arguments show that the proposed model is not merely idealistic. It is structurally necessary. AI and virtual collaborative intelligence. Artificial intelligence represents digitized collective intelligence. It processes vast quantities of existing information and identifies dominant patterns. It does not generate new knowledge in the human sense. Virtual collaborative intelligence, by contrast, is digitized collaborative intelligence. It generates new knowledge heuristically through the interaction of highly capable individuals. The long-term vision is a hybrid global brain that integrates these two forms, AI as the information processing hemisphere and human virtual intelligence as a cognitive hemisphere. Together, they form a hybrid intelligence capable of addressing complexity of modern civilization. In short, the self-governance of collaborative society rests on a simple but profound insight. The future of governance lies not in regulating AI or preserving outdated political structures, but in creating a new architecture of intelligence. By combining institutional decision-making, collaborative human problem-solving, and artificial intelligence into a single integrated system, humanity can build a governance model capable of navigating the challenges ahead. The question is not whether such a transition is desirable. It is whether societies will recognize its necessity in time to avoid the consequences of cognitive failure.